Hey guys, this is Joe with Pampered Chef. I know it had been a while since I had done a video, and this is actually an old recipe featuring the Pampered Chef Quick Cooker. I made this recipe about a year ago and I realized it on my channel, but I figured, you know what the hell? It is cold, it's dreary out, and you just need something warm and hot to warm you up. So I'm going to go ahead and make the Pampered Chef homemade chili recipe in the Pampered Chef Quick Cooker. Now with this device, this came out about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it has 16 different features, but it also has upgraded safety features on it, which is really good. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Part of the safety features are all of the different chimes that it makes to let you know if it's open or closed or sealed, if something isn't on correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. With this recipe, you want to start off with the sear function. So with this little wheel on the front, you just turn this, and sear is where you would start to, I'm going to start cooking up some garlic and onion and stuff like that, and some stuff like that. But this is where you would sear a pot roast on it, and that will just lock in the moisture and the flavor. So I went ahead and hit start. I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons of oil. I prefer avocado oil. That's what I mostly cook with here. That's about 1.5 tablespoons. And on my little bar board, I have we're going to take one whole onion, and I'm just going to do a rough chop on it. I don't need to do a fine chop with a food processor or anything like that. Just going to keep it really simple, because we want this chili to be chunky and hearty and stuff like that. Okay, we're just going to throw this right in. And if you don't have this, this is actually really convenient. This is the Pampered Chef bar board, and all of their cutting boards have this silicone edging on it, and you don't have to worry about slipping. And if you need to measure things, there's measurements in centimeters and inches. So depending on, if you needed specific measurements of something. So I have the onion in there heating up. Now we're just going to take one bell pepper. I've already seeded and cleaned this out. So just going to go ahead and throw that in there. I'm not a big fan of green pepper, so for personal reasons, I'm going to leave the chunks extra big so I can find them and fish them out, because I'm not a fan of green pepper. But it's actually not that bad in this recipe. Now, one thing I always talk about with Pampered Chef recipes is that you can modify them any way you want to. The great thing about them is they're just kind of like a base recipe. If you want to, take away something, double something up. And I actually did that with this particular recipe with these spices. So I'm going to go over that in a second. All right, so we're going to let that cook up. And also, pertaining to our Pampered Chef knives, they just revamped them about a year ago. I want to say last September. And what they did is it's an ultra sharp stainless, German stainless carbon steel. And they added a wood handle with 3 rivets to it. And it's actually perfectly balanced. Our entire knife collection is a little bit pricey for a lot of people. So what I always recommend is I use the 5.5-inch blade. And this is the 5.5-inch utility blade. I find myself using this for everything. And then the second knife I use the most is the chef's knife, which I'm going to use next to cut up the next ingredient. So I'm sure you guys can hear that sizzle going on. To this we're going to add 2 cloves of garlic. Using the garlic press. So as you guys can see, I've had this garlic press for over 15 years. It just lasts forever. Just going to throw that right in there. Number 2. gonna throw this in the sink, excuse me. So we have 1 whole onion, 1 green pepper, both coarsely chopped, and 2 cloves of crushed garlic. So let me just throw this in the sink. And then next up, what you want to do is you are going to get a 2-pound beef chuck roast. Now I got this at Market Basket today. This was about a little over 2 pounds, and it was $9.57, which really isn't that bad. So what you want to do is you want to cut it up into bite-sized pieces. So these you can go as small as you want or as big as you want. Now this is the second most used knife here. This is the chef's knife. I tend to use this one the most too. So it's either the 5.5-inch utility knife or the chef's knife. Those are my 2 favorite ones. I'm actually having my mom over, who's 88 years old. So I'm going to go pick her up and bring her back to my home for lunch. So that's why I want to make sure that these pieces are nice and small, so that way we don't have any problems. But with the pressure cooker, what it'll do is this: it'll heat up, and then it'll pressure cook for, I want to say the recipe is for 7 minutes. This meat will come out fork tender, and I'm actually going to use dried kidney beans, which you'll see. I'll add that in a minute. Now, for the sake of time, and I don't want to burn everything, I'm just going to turn that off for a minute. So I'm just going to go ahead and just add the beef now. Running out of space on my cutting board. And with this, it's already been trimmed ahead of time. I just didn't cut it up ahead of time. That's the only difference with this. Now, if you're ever interested in hosting a party, you could do the traditional in-home cooking party, where you just invite your friends over, and depending on guest sales, depends on what you get for free product. You could even get this pressure cooker for free or even at a very reduced rate. If you don't want to have people over for a cooking party, and that's completely fine, everybody's different, we could do what's called a virtual party. And if you've never heard of a virtual party, it's actually very convenient for a lot of people. You know, we all work. A lot of people work full-time plus. You have children, pets, whatever, a home to take care of. You know, the last thing you want is, people in your house. Even though a traditional cooking party is lots of fun, a great alternative to that would be a virtual party. And it's done all on Facebook. And what I do is I'll create an event, and just like what I'm doing now, I do a live cooking demo for the party. You'll get a special link for people to buy stuff. It runs for about 5 to 7 days, and I post things daily. So people can see pretty much everything that Pampered Chef has to offer. That's why I prefer virtual parties for some people, because what happens is you can see everything, the entire product line. I would have to lug about 500 pounds worth of product into your home for everybody to see what Pampered Chef has to offer. With a virtual party, they'll see everything on posts and gifts, and then there's also different videos that I post, different recipes for the entire week. And then daily I post the special link for your video, for your party, and people just shop from the comfort of their own home, which is pretty amazing. It's convenient, and it's pretty much the future. So while this is heating up again, I'm going to come back. Let me just throw this in the sink and wash my hands real quick. This is the Pampered Chef chef's knife, the one that I use the most. Okay. All right, I just had to wash my hands real quick. Okay, so we have everything in here cooking up. Now keep in mind, this liner pot will get really hot, so you just want to handle this with care. Now we need this to heat up, and we're going to get it under pressure, so I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. To this, we're going to add one 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. Now this is the smooth edge can opener. And what it does is it cuts around the edge of the lid, so you don't have those jagged edges on the inside. So we're just going to throw this right in here. And then there's also like a little tooth thing, so you can grab the cover right off the lid. And then we're going to do a small 6-ounce can of tomato paste. Now, with this being so thick, there's actually a tool that I absolutely love. And you'd be surprised how often you use it once you get it. This is the Scoop and Spread. It has a firmer end here, and it's serrated, so you would use this to cut a bagel or an English muffin. And on this end, it has a softer silicone, kind of like a scoop shape. This works great to get every bit of peanut butter or jelly or mayonnaise from a jar. But in this case, I'm going to get every bit of this tomato paste out. And just so you can see how clean that comes out, it really gets every bit of that in there. All right, let's get that. I'll throw this in the sink. Give this a mix. Now, to this recipe, it calls for 1 cup of dried beans. So there's no soaking overnight. All I did was I rinsed it in the stainless steel colander. Now it's a really thick mesh reinforced with this steel wiring and a base. This comes in 3 sizes. This is the smallest of the 3. And I use this to rinse the dried kidney beans ahead of time. So it's dried kidney beans, and with just a few minutes, that's going to fully cook those beans. Now to go over the spices. So in this prep bowl, what I have here is I have cumin, dried oregano, and I have chili powder and black pepper and salt. Now what I did was I actually cut back on the salt, and I added a tablespoon of ranch powder dressing. So that's going to be an interesting flavor, because there's a recipe for a crock pot recipe that's going around where you add butter and 3 packets of ranch and gravy and stuff like that. I figured I would try that with this recipe to just kick up the flavor a little bit, because we all love ranch. Who doesn't love ranch, right? So salt, pepper, chili powder, cumin, and ranch powder dressing. And then to this we need to add 2.5 cups of water. Now this is the batter bowl. This is the smaller of 2 sizes. This is a 4-cup size. There's also an 8-cup size. So I'm going to throw this right in here. Now the great thing about this is these are oven safe. It's a really thick glass. What they did was they ended up smoothing the edge and disconnecting the handle, so they're nestable if you have more than one. I have the 8 cup and I have the 4 cup. They also come with a plastic lid, so if you're doing anything that you're not using all of like a pancake batter or a waffle batter, you can throw the lid and store it right in the fridge. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a stir, so that way everything can because we want all of those flavors to marry each other. We want this to just be as flavorful as possible. Also, I'm not sure if anybody has one of these or not, but these are the Pampered Chef scrapers. These are great to have. They won't stain, they're heat resistant, and you don't have to worry about them melting or anything. You can actually use them in a frying pan, no problem. All right, so this was on sear, so I'm gonna hit cancel. I'm gonna put the lid back on. Now, the great thing about this updated feature is, now this is the steam release here. This is the button you use to release that steam. So I'm gonna lock the lid on. So as you can hear, that means that it's locked. And we are just going to hit cancel because I wanna get back to the beginning of it. And I'm just gonna go to stew and chili, and then I'm just going to hit the start button. Now what this is going to do is it's going to heat up, it's going to come to pressure, and under pressure it's just going to take 35 minutes. 35 minutes under pressure, release that steam, and then I'll have nice warm chili. I'm also trying to decide if I want to bake a beer bread or crescent rolls to go with the chili, but either way it's going to be something hearty and something to fill me up on this kind of a dreary cold day today. So again, this is Joe with Pampered Chef. I hope you enjoyed the video. I did post this recipe a year ago. I decided to do it again. I figured, what the hell, I made some modifications to it, and it's just a reminder of the versatility of the Pampered Chef quick cooker. If you would like to host a party of your own, whether it's in-home cooking or virtual party, feel free to call me at 508-287-6208, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.